Welcome to the London Perspective. I'm your host, Stefan. Today we're going to be talking about a recent surprise visit to Ukraine by none other than former Prime Minister Boris Johnson. But what does this visit mean for the UK's relationship with Ukraine and for the current Prime Minister Rishi Sunak? Let's dive in. First, let's set the scene. As you may know, Ukraine has been at war with Russia since early 2022, an illegal invasion by Russia that has been condemned by the international community. The situation in Ukraine is dire, with innocent lives being lost every day. So, it's understandable that when former Prime Minister Boris Johnson says he's making a surprise visit to Ukraine at the invitation of President Volodymyr Zelensky, people take notice. But what exactly is the purpose of this visit? Boris Johnson has stated that it's a privilege to be there to show solidarity with the war-torn nation. But is it just a show of solidarity, or is there something more at play? Some have raised concerns that this visit could potentially undermine the authority of current Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. After all, Johnson has a history of being a vocal supporter of Ukraine, even during his time as Prime Minister. And while Sunak has also shown support for Ukraine, some are questioning whether this visit by Johnson could be seen as him trying to steal the spotlight. But Downing Street has indicated that Rishi Sunak is supportive of Johnson's visit, and a spokesperson for Johnson has stated that he fully supports UK government policy on Ukraine, including the recent decision to send Challenger 2 tanks. So, what does this all mean for the UK's relationship with Ukraine? It's clear that both Johnson and Sunak have shown support for Ukraine in the past and continue to do so. But it's also important to note that this visit by Johnson comes at a time when he is facing fresh accusations over his personal finances. Some have even suggested that this visit could be seen as a distraction from those accusations. It's important to remember that the situation in Ukraine is dire and the UK has a responsibility to show support for our ally. That's why today, on the London Perspective, we're going to be discussing the recent surprise visit to Ukraine by former Prime Minister Boris Johnson. As many of you may know, Johnson has been a vocal supporter of Ukraine in the past, and his visit to the war-torn nation is a clear indication of his continued commitment to the country. But what does this mean for the current Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak? Some have raised concerns that Johnson's visit could undermine Sunak's authority and put him in a difficult position. However, Downing Street has indicated that Sunak is supportive of the visit, and we can only hope that this is the case. It's important to remember that the situation in Ukraine is dire and the UK has a responsibility to show support for our ally. The conflict between Ukraine and Russia has been ongoing since early 2022 and has resulted in thousands of deaths and countless injuries. The international community has condemned Russia's actions as illegal, and it's crucial that the UK continues to stand by Ukraine in this difficult time. Johnson's visit is a clear indication that he, like many of us, is deeply concerned about the ongoing conflict and the suffering of the Ukrainian people. In a statement, he said, "The suffering of the people of Ukraine has gone on for too long. The only way to end this war is for Ukraine to win, and to win as fast as possible. This is the moment to double down and to give the Ukrainians all the tools they need to finish the job." It's important to remember that the stability of the region is crucial for the security of Europe as a whole. The UK has a responsibility to support our allies, and we should be paying attention to what's happening in Ukraine and hoping for a peaceful resolution to the conflict. As for Rishi Sunak, we can only hope that he shares Johnson's sentiment and is doing everything in his power to support Ukraine. The Prime Minister visited Ukraine in November, pledging continued British support to the war-torn country in the fight against Moscow's forces. As the leader of the United Kingdom, it is crucial that he continues to take a stand and support Ukraine in this ongoing conflict. And yet, despite this, it seems that the current Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, is not doing enough to support Ukraine in their fight against the illegal invasion by Russia. In fact, some are saying that he's not doing enough to support Ukraine at all. This is a concerning development, as the stability of the region is vital for the security of Europe as a whole. And if Russia were to launch a new offensive in Ukraine with the support of Belarus, that would be a major escalation in an already tense situation. It's also worth noting that the leader of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, is a dictator, and he's been a key ally of Russia. But recently, the exiled opposition leader of Belarus, Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya, has been speaking out about the situation. And she's warning that if Lukashenko were to send troops to fight in Ukraine alongside Russian forces, there would be massive disobedience and strikes in Belarus. In other words, the situation in Belarus is a lot more fragile than it might seem. The fact that Boris Johnson, a former Prime Minister, feels the need to visit Ukraine and show solidarity with the war-torn nation is a clear indication that the current leadership in the UK is not doing enough to support Ukraine. And this is unacceptable. As a nation, we have a responsibility to support our allies and stand up against illegal invasions. And it's time for Prime Minister Rishi Sunak to step up and show true leadership in this situation. As always, stay informed and stay safe. This is Stefan, and this has been another episode of The London Perspective.